Tom Cruise is a bona fide movie star who seems to defy aging with every new movie he makes, and he does it all with a charismatic smile. Cruise starred in some of the biggest films of the 1980s, including Risky Business, Top Gun, The Color of Money, and Rain Man. By the 1990s, he was one of the highest paid actors in the world, earning an average $15 million a picture, and he continued with blockbuster hits like Interview with the Vampire, Mission Impossible, and Jerry Maguire. His biggest franchise to date has been the series of Mission Impossible movies, earning a total of $3 billion worldwide, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. The other thing that isn't slowing down is his involvement in the Church of Scientology, which has made him the single most powerful person in the organization. He is no doubt the face of the church, but at the same time, he seemingly makes us forget about his ties to the mysterious organization, especially with movies like Top Gun Maverick, which saved the movie industry just a couple summers ago. Tom Cruise used to be a devoted Roman Catholic, but all of that changed almost as soon as he married his first wife, actress Mimi Rogers, who was 7 years older than him. They got married in May of 1987, and Mimi was already a second-generation Scientologist herself, and is believed to have been Cruise's first connections to the polarizing church. By the time their marriage unraveled in 1990, he had become one of the church's most outspoken advocates, and has even credited the practices of Scientology with much of his success in Hollywood. Tom Cruise first met Nicole Kidman on the set of the hit film Days of Thunder in 1989, and would later tie the knot on Christmas Eve in 1990. Just 10 months after his first divorce was finalized, she too joined the Church of Scientology following the wedding, but she never expressed an eagerness for the Scientology coursework or life auditing that was required. Scientology officials also began to disapprove of Kidman because her father was a psychiatrist, a profession that the church looked down on. In 1992, the couple adopted their first daughter, Isabella, shortly after her birth, and then adopted a son named Connor in 1995. The Church of Scientology went as far as to spy on Nicole, tapping her phone in an effort to break up her marriage with Tom Cruise. They did this because Tom began to ignore the phone calls of the leader of Scientology, David Miscavige, while they were in London filming Eyes Wide Shut in 1997. The film shoot took 400 days, which is a record, and Miscavige didn't like not having access to Tom 24/7. Less than 2 years after the movie's release, the couple announced their separation, citing inherent difficulties with careers, which constantly kept them apart. The official statement was that an amicable separation was best for both of them after 11 years of marriage, but a rift began to appear shortly after. Nicole Kidman's 2 children, who had been raised in the Church of Scientology, made the decision to stay with Dad. This is important because the church doesn't allow you to have relationships with those outside of Scientology. So Nicole Kidman, who was heartbroken, along with all family and friends not associated with the church, were shunned. Toward the end of his marriage to Nicole, Cruise was working on the 2001 movie Vanilla Sky, starring opposite Penelope Cruz. The co-stars ended up connecting shortly after Cruise's divorce, making their red carpet debut in August of 2001. Both of them denied that their romance was the cause of his divorce from Nicole, and by 2004, Penelope too had enough of Scientology, as it had become a third wheel, and she and Tom split up after 3 years together. 2005 was a notable year for Tom Cruise. In June, he was interviewed by 60 Minutes Australia to talk about his Scientology beliefs and Hollywood stardom. In order to interview Cruise, Peter Overton from 60 Minutes Australia was required to attend a 4-hour crash course in Scientology. During the interview, Overton asked a series of questions about Nicole Kidman, which irritated Tom. Eventually, he felt the questions had gone too far, prompting him to tell the journalist, "You're stepping over the line now," which made the interview pretty cringeworthy. Just over a week later, while attending the premiere for his new movie War of the Worlds in London, as he was interviewed on the red carpet, he was suddenly squirted in the face with a water pistol, disguised as a microphone. The practical joke was a part of a British TV prank series called Balls of Steel. Needless to say, Cruise didn't find the prank funny, and told the prankster off by calling him a jerk. Then came the public spat with Brooke Shields. Following the release of her autobiography and the admission that she had used antidepressants, Cruise commented on the Today Show that Shields' use of medication to battle postpartum depression was irresponsible and dangerous. He then went on to lecture host Matt Lauer about the history of psychiatry. This didn't sit well with Shields, and she responded by writing an op-ed about it for the New York Times. While all of this was going on, Tom secretly began dating actress Katie Holmes, a match that was reportedly orchestrated by the Church of Scientology. After they were spotted on a trip to Europe together, it became official. And that's when Tom went on the Oprah Winfrey Show and weirdly jumped on the couch expressing his love. Backstage, an uncomfortable Katie Holmes waited, while Oprah brought up an old 17 magazine interview where Katie stated she dreamed of marrying Tom Cruise, something that sent the audience into a frenzy. Shortly after this interview, Tom announced at a press conference for War of the Worlds that he and Holmes were now engaged. He had proposed to her with a 5-carat yellow diamond ring at a restaurant on top of the Eiffel Tower. But before the wedding could take place, Katie gave birth to a baby girl named Suri in April 2006. The lavish wedding would take place 6 months later in November. Although many thought the marriage between Tom and Katie was doomed from the start, it did last for 6 years, ending in 2012. Although Tom admitted that the divorce caught him by surprise, the legal proceedings ran pretty smoothly, and a settlement was reached in just 11 days. They have rarely spoken on the record in regard to their split, but it's rumored that Holmes' motivation was to free her daughter from the unique constraints of Scientology. During a deposition against a tabloid, in which they accused Tom of abandoning Suri, Tom was asked if Katie left him in part to protect their daughter from Scientology. Insulted, he said, "There is no need to protect my daughter from my religion." Katie was granted primary custody of Suri in their divorce, and child support was set at $400,000 per year. Included in the settlement was a visitation schedule, but it was widely reported that Tom never saw his daughter again. Suri Cruise was removed from California, and her mother raised her in New York City, largely out of the public eye. Now she is 18 years old, and she recently changed her last name, dropping Cruise altogether. Tom has not seen his daughter in over 13 years, probably because of the disconnection rule imposed by the church. This rule requires someone to sever all ties between a Scientologist and a friend, colleague, or family member who is opposed to Scientology. Among Scientologists, disconnection is viewed as an important method for removing obstacles in one's spiritual growth. Tom Cruise has used this to manage his life after his marriages have ended, despite it affecting the ability to co-parent and the fact it separates his children from half of their family. Tom Cruise and the Church of Scientology are so intertwined, it's hard to believe he could ever leave. He has been adamant that Scientology and its practices have made his life better, even curing his dyslexia and setting his successful career into motion. Movies like Top Gun: Maverick and new installments of Mission Impossible keep bringing people to the movies in a way that no other single actor can. His Scientology beliefs, coupled with the strange happenings within the Church of Scientology, like the disappearance of David Miscavige's wife, who has not been seen since 2007, doesn't seem to be dissuading anyone from going to see a Tom Cruise movie. So it seems we all might be under the spell of Tom Cruise. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and please consider subscribing and sharing Recollection Road Entertainment with someone you know. If you enjoyed this video, consider watching this playlist. As always, thank you so much for watching.